This is Newfoundland's Bay du Nord Wilderness Reserve. At 2,895 square kilometers, it is one of the last untamed areas on the island, and far from civilization.
Just had a small situation in.
For the next 2 months, we're alone to do what we love, explore rarely seen country. We'll penetrate the reserve deep to its heart, but it won't be easy. I'm Justin Barbour, and this is Saki. Come follow us through the woods. We're in the interior of Newfoundland, headed southwest about 100 kilometers down to the Atlantic Ocean. To begin, we're backtracking along our old inward route. The water is still low, and it's still a hairy snarl to get through. Where we struggled before, we struggle again. But it's a fun way to remember the journey in, and our past experience does help with some obstacles. I look forward to watching the small streams change into a mighty river as we trace down the tributaries.
Back down the old rocky road it is. What was I thinking? I wanted to name a gal, but I come up through here with a canoe. No, it's all for the experience. I'm glad we done this, and I'm happy to be coming back. Some moments. A minute ago I was cursing and swearing. So the blue bag's gone ahead. Now I'm going to leave the food in the canoe because our food's getting pretty thin now. And a couple odds and ends, paddles, fishing rod, and I'll drag it down over the rocks. Back at it, Zach.
It's a good thing my canoe is a hardy 3-layer plastic. It might be tough, but gear is made to be used, and I'm determined to test it to its limits, both in and out of the water. I drag it over the rocks whenever I can to save energy that portaging would drain. Hopefully it holds up against the ruthless terrain.
So we're going to stop now, boil the kettle. I like to do that every 3-4 hours. Something to look forward to. It's been funny weather today. Sun belting down. And then heavy showers came at us, and it was back to sun and back to rain, and it looks like there's big heavy rain coming just when we need it to.
Dry now, Zach.
Okay, that lake down there puts us back on track.
All right, Sack. Saying goodbye to that mess.
Freaking weeds in there. Attaboy, Sack. You better get going. We're hungry. Jokes. Couple months. Could be on someone's plate.
Nice little morning out there. Out this morning now, taking a look at the canoe. It was already worn down before the trip began. I got some tape I can reinforce it with, so we'll see. There's enough life left in her to get us home. What do you say, Sack? Yes. Wonderful morning here. We got to buck off a little section about 1.5 kilometers or so, maybe a bit longer, upriver to get to a small lake, and from there we'll portage over to Rainy Lake and begin our journey down to the sea. We're wind-bounded here on Rainy Lake. Not sure if I'll get across this evening. I'm going to wait till it gets closer to dark. It's been blowing a gale the last few days. There's some better woods to camp in on the other side, it looks like. Today the wilderness gods send us a pile of rain. We'll need more than this to fill the parched rivers, but it will cover some jagged rocks and make our trip to the sea a little easier. On the way back to Kegadec Lake, downstream is a good bit of fun. We got our first proper string of brook trout in a little while. Now we need them. We're working our way back through the tributaries where we began the trip. So the fishing should be better over here. So we've just hooked back into our old route. So we came down from there, and this is where we took a detour to go up to Mount Sylvester, about a month ago. Hey, Sack. Going's been pretty good for the most part. A couple rocky spots where we bottomed out and I had to line the canoe. But for the most part, we're riding the small ripples. It's just me actually, Sack, who was running the banks. At last we're back to Kegadec Lake and our supply we stashed coming in. It's a fine evening and I take the time to soak it up once more before we leave again. I also give a quick fix to the bow of the canoe. We got some coyotes howling. What a morning. How cool is that? That's the same location that I heard coyotes howling this past February. And I seen a few of them cross the lake not far from camp. We were camped on another island, me, Bear and Saku. They must be denning up over there. That's their little cave somewhere in the woods. Look at the boss, just giving her. Two moose. Stay still. Dandy. Yeah, we're just on this little tiny dot of an island. Nothing to it. And when we paddled by, we spooked them. So now the real downriver section starts. I'm not going to try to be a hero here. We're a long ways from civilization. We're going to be careful. I'm going to run what I can, and the rest I'll line
or portage. Of course, there's a few falls along the way. The deeper sections, it's not rocky, I'll let Saku hop in the canoe. But the spots that are more rough, I'll have him run the shore. So it's going to be fun. It's a lot different than coming up. It's a different perspective. So I'll strap everything down on the canoe now, and we'll get going. Let's do it, Sack. So I had to take a quick cast before I took off. Right there behind me in the deep water. So that's the start of what I'm sure will be a good supper later tonight. We'll try for another one. Hey, Sack. Sit, Sack. Another dandy brookie. We'll go for the hat trick. Look at this one. What a beautiful trout. Just a beauty. I think that's enough now. We'll get some more later. Time to move on. Come on, Zach. Let's go. Good boy. Are you gonna swim, are you? Good job coming down river, Sack. Atta boy. Over here, Sack. It seems like a smaller branch. This way, over here, over here. This way. You don't want to get sucked down that thing. So down the river we go. I don't expect we'll see anyone other than the pilot Gene, who flew in, and a couple of workers I seen at a remote lodge. There hasn't been a soul. Of course, when I came up to the system, the water was low. You're not going to see no one in here then in the middle of the summer. So you got it to yourself. That's the benefit of it. It's day 44, I think, something like that. And we haven't seen one other recreational paddler or whatever. Nothing. You gotta love it. If I seen someone, I wouldn't be disappointed. But it's great not to see people too. This is a true wilderness experience here. Absolutely amazing. Oh, another one. They don't call it the rock for nothing. He's gone a mile ahead of me. What a beauty. What a beauty. Yes, sir. One on ish this time. All right, that's enough for today. Excited, Zach? Hey, for our camp now. We might get a spot in here. Saki Koivu Jr. What do you think? Slim pickings around here, steep edges and is steady. Some more repairs in the woods with the tent poles. They join with a little silver piece and that kind of locks them in. But with this one right here, this has been the last 2 times I've set the tent up now. It's gone up into the black piece. I can see it up there, but it's hard to get. I'm trying to get it with pliers. That's how I got it the last 2 times. This is the new model of this tent, MSR Hubba Hubba.
This little situation is a great example of how a multi-tool with a pair of pliers is an invaluable tool with a million uses.
There we go.
It would have been hard to fix this without it.
Right there. This piece. All I have is some marine goop. I'm going to try that. I might have to let that dry before I go setting it up. Okay, that seemed to work out half decent. Time to put up the mansion. You couldn't wipe the smile off my face now if you had the biggest clap in the world. This is awesome. Nice sizzling pan of trout, fire going, mini cups of tea to come, beautiful evening, not a breath of wind. It's heaven. What a feed. Zach's out like a light in the tent. He was hustling hard coming down the river, follow me in the canoe. He did a hell of a job. Well, I'll save some for him. We'll bring him a little treat down a bit. He's out cold. He'd be up looking out through the window if he was on the go. Got my finger good there, not with the axe. I took a slip on the rock and smashed it, cut the trail along the side of the canyon here. Gotta be careful.
I'm out scouting a route down through the hairy canyon we bypassed on the way in. Now with a lighter load, I'm going to attempt to descend it to Jubilee Lake, versus taking the much longer and suffering portage around it. It's important to get as much information as I can about the rapids and any big rocks in our path. I suppose a few trout for the pan wouldn't be bad either.
Oh, lost him. Tough spot here. Got him back, or one just like him anyways. That's another dandy. What a spot this is. Big old canyon. And tomorrow we're going to have to make our way down through it. I got a decent route picked out, I think. It's better than making the big long portage we had to do when we came up last month. What a feed sack. Get it in you. Looks like we stomped in someone else's territory here this morning. I was expecting to see one. Camp's just in there. And look at the roadway they got made through here. It's like the Trans-Canada Caribou Highway here. What a fine path. Seku, you see the caribou? A nice stag, boy. There goes another one. You looking for your friend? Another one over there. Here setting up camp, and looky, another pole. That's two. Gone up in here. Lord jumpins'. To make matters worse, we got heavy rain bearing down on us. I couldn't get the piece out from this one, and I don't got time to go fiddling with it. I just used some Gorilla Tape on both ends of the splint, and that's where the joint is right there. So splints work good. Alright, a day has passed. We had some high winds, heavy rains. We endured it behind us there at camp. Now we got to make our way up Jubilee Lake. It's just about 10 kilometers across it. What do you say, Zach? Let's go, my son. Attaboy, all aboard. Now if we can just avoid more of that nasty wind, we'll be alright. So we made it across the lake. Took almost 2.5 hours. The wind stiffened up a couple times into a headwind the whole way. The river's roaring behind me now, and there is a big drop there. I'm not sure if I'll line down it. I don't think it's certainly not runnable. Not in the outfit we have. I'm getting weary now, however. Late in the trip, day 47, I believe, 48. Night setting in. So I think I'm gonna make camp up here somewhere, and we'll deal with the river tomorrow. There's not a whole lot of great real estate around. Here's your sack. You can camp down there, are you? I seen a spot here. Gonna have to remove a few limbs off that tree. That's fairly flat. This will do. Once I clear away a few sticks, get a fire going, it'll be just like home. Dirty overhanging limb. You dirty buggers. I might just get rid of it all together, Sack. Yeah, she's coming down somehow. Yes, sir. Now we got a nice bench. That's a wrap. Everything's just drenched from the rains. So I had to tunnel in under the spruces like a rabbit and get a can of gas I found. Oh, I'm kidding. I got a bunch of small little, I don't even know if you can see this now, the smallest little spruce twigs. They're dead, they're on the bottom of the spruce trees. They're the size of toothpicks, so they should take. Cameras are dying on me, but these will take a flame. Well, it's a new day and we're back on the river. I think I'm going to make an attempt to line down the left side. That's where I dragged the canoe up. It's possible. nice brookie set. Just beautiful sized brookies. That's good eating there. Nice little spot here. What a beautiful day too. This is icing on the cake. Oh, we can do close, right? Now we got a snag. 4 done. GoPro, stop recording. Take 2. Shallow there, bud. Jeez. Not very much water there. Gotta get that out. Go for a swim, Zach. Come on. Now we're just coming up on the north end of Madonnaganics Lake, where we began the trip about 7 weeks ago. It's the last big lake on our way down the river to the sea. So we're going to make our way down the lake and we'll pass our first campsite of the trip. And then I'll be into a bit of an unknown territory on the lower portion of the river. So that's going to be fun, exciting. Who knows what we'll get ourselves into. Stay tuned to find out. I was hoping we get down Madonnaganics. I guess not. She's blowing hard out there. Yeah, it's roughly 8 kilometers to get down the lake. It's coming up on 5 p.m. Might die off in a bit, but I'm not going out there right now. So we didn't take off after, but we're gonna go tomorrow morning, crack it on. I got a nice loaf of bannock done up for breakfast. Take a break from the oatmeal. Now I'm gonna show you a treat. We got hot chocolate there, nice mug of it ready to go. I'm gonna add a little drop of coffee. What a treat this is. Hot chocolate and coffee. I don't know the proper name on it, is there? It don't matter, because it's good. And it's a good night from us. So I just tore down one rapid, took on a bit of liquid. I'm gonna get that out now before we move on. Another rapid here, lots of rocks still. tight runs, I might line down this one. I'll take a minute and think about it, walk ahead and have a look. Alright, tack, lunch break. The barrel and dry bags, wonderful pieces of gear. We're going down the river. Nice bit of water in the canoe. Everything's dry as a bone. Come on, Zach, let's go. This one's a doozy. I expected that. It's on a big bend in the river, usually there are rough places. So I lined the canoe through most of it along the side, and I brought a couple loads, climbed over the rocks. Saku fended for himself, and he's done a great job of it. I should be able to shoot the tail end of it into the pond down there. Beautiful day. It's a dandy in Newfoundland. We're chipping our way down the Bay of Nord River.
We're into the main vein of the Bay of Nord River. About 35 kilometers remain to the finish. For me, this is new territory. It'll be a thrilling experience to work through this waterway, which is also a Canadian heritage river, one of only two in Newfoundland. The heritage system was established in 1984 to protect and recognize the best examples of Canada's rivers, but also to encourage the public to enjoy and appreciate them.
So we took on a bit more water coming down through the start of a rapid here. I chose not to take a spray deck on the trip just because a lot of it wasn't going to be on the river. That's the decision I made, and because of it we got to be careful in some of the rapids. I don't want to take on too much water. Now we're going to camp on a delicious little rock outcrop. Beautiful, nice flat spot for the camp. So now we're not too far away from the big falls, Smoky Falls. It's going to be a big portage too. We should get there tomorrow. Looking forward to reaching that. It was one of the big draws of the trip, was to come along and see it. I'll be taking the option on that one. Number 3 broken. MSR, you're gonna get a shout. Last feed of the season. She closes tomorrow, and now we got a grease fire. Just like the kitchen sink, that is. sec. Over here. Stay close, over here. Hey! Up on line, Zach. Just had a small situation in. I was lining along a cliff up there. The current got strong, tipped the canoe on its side. The canoe started taking water in. So the only way I was going to prevent the canoe from tipping over was letting it go and hoping it hooked into the eddy. It hooked into a little whirlpool and stayed there. I had to swim across the river up to my chest, and we're lucky it was hanging by a thread in this little eddy back current. And I grabbed onto it and all was good. Second swam across the river, but close call. Not so much for us, but almost losing the canoe. That's the wall I was coming along. And right here by a boulder, it kind of got hooked in. Went sideways, took on a bunch of water, but it spun over here in this pool. And I had to go across the river just up there by that other boulder. Came down, I was swimming with the river, came up on these rocks, and I just grabbed the canoe. It was about to shoot down here. Over that, it probably would have tipped over, I don't know. Every move's got to be calculated, and onward we go. We got fortunate back there. Every now and then you need one of those though, put you in your place. That's a part of being out here.
The river is dropping quick, and its growing power is no joke. It just took us nearly 4 hours to make it through a tricky 2-kilometer section. Smoky Falls looms ahead, and we also have a problem.
The slice up in the bow of the canoe fully punctured coming down through, so I just had to do a patch-up job. That should hold enough to get us down to the Atlantic Ocean. Pools Cove is where we're going. So we're just at the top of Smoky Falls. We made it here yesterday afternoon. Right away I left all the gear here on a point. Had a quick look at the falls. It's brilliant. And then I went scouting a portage to get around it. I made one plug through. Found a half decent route through some barren, over some marsh, and through some half forested areas. It's a bit of a tangle. That's a portage, but that's the route we're going with. It comes out about 150 yards below the falls. One plow through was enough for me. I'm not going to go scouting again. As they say, sometimes it's better to take the devil you know than the devil you don't. So this morning I got one bag brought over. I'll go down now and give you a look at the falls. That's the warm-up fall. Close enough for me. Man, oh man, the power. She's a rumbling. In the sec. Watch your step. say it's 100 feet high. I got the barrel on my back. I got the yellow bag jammed in there. Now we're taking a nice little break in the shady woods. You don't remember these. You remember times like standing at the brink of Smoky Falls. That's what you remember. This will be long forgotten later on today. Might take a bit longer than that. What are you saying, Zach? Don't get too cozy over there. No sooner did we get out past the portage, I went down a set of rapids. Zach was running along shore. I brought up on a rock. I jammed hard, snapped the paddle, reached for my other one, made it out fine as kind. So now I'm down to one paddle. Tent's pretty much falling apart, and the canoe is cracked open. Suppose we'll make it out of here in one piece. Oh my. And now there's a big old gorge. There's some runnable rapids. But I gotta be careful now with one paddle only. If I lose the paddle I'm using, I don't get a backup. That's not good out in the middle of the rapids. We're late into a long journey now. I could carve up a backup paddle, but I'm not gonna. Now we're only 16 kilometers from the end. Looks like another big drop coming up, Zach. The leak is back. She held up for a few days, the patch I made. Anyways, that's no big deal. We're getting pretty handy now to the sea. We'll get across there. It's not filling up too bad. We've been going for a couple hours this morning. It's only that much. It's only like adding an extra bag. Think about it. 100 years ago, all they had was a bit of spruce resin and some birch bark. All the canoes were leaky. Having this experience gives me nothing but more respect for the way they traveled back in those days. It's a luxury that we got to have canoes that hardly ever leak. So this is a good experience. Hey, Zach. Zach's been running the land all morning. I've been running some small ripples. The river's flattening out now. It's beautiful. We're in a deep valley. You gotta love it.
We're coming to the river's end. Cabins line the mouth of the Bay de Nord until the banks become fjord-like and provide a stunning gateway to the sea. In all, we've covered nearly 300 total kilometers in 52 days by foot and canoe. Knocking off the home stretch is bittersweet, and thoughts of what adventures are to come linger heavy in the air. With wild spaces continuing to be wiped out and disrupted, I hope the Bay de Nord Reserve remains wild and free for generations to come. It's a reservoir for the human spirit, and it's right here in my home, Newfoundland and Labrador. So me and Zach are just out bobbing around now in the Atlantic Ocean. We can just see Pools Cove, the end point of the trip. Another great journey is coming to an end. We had a great time. I feel privileged, and Zach, you too, to have been able to experience one of the last unspoiled areas in our province, the Bay de Nord Wilderness area. But now we're coming home. That's my ride. What are you doing? Don't be afraid. Glad to be home. Yeah.